Thank you all for showing up. You know, Don Juan, in the teachings of Don Juan said that the secret about humans is that we are perceiving beings. And everything we experience is perception. And I resonated with your story, Carlene, because one of the things that happens is we tune our perception to other people's perception. Mm. And we do it automatically because we're mammals. And it's that attunement that it can lead to a mob and a lynching, and it can also lead to people being really inspired and, you know, making a moon landing happen. And it's just part of who we are. And so a lot of people have, you know, Albert Einstein, one of his most famous quotes is that the most important decision that a person makes is whether they live in a hostile or a friendly universe. Because that fundamentally impacts how our nervous system filters input to our brain. And so, when I'm talking about a soothing bath for the nervous system, it's about inviting your perception into an area where you feel seen, heard, cared for, and get that in your body. Mm-hmm. And notice how that impacts your being. You know, one thing that I've noticed in myself since I started studying NVC is when I first started studying NVC and I did something I didn't like or I forgot something, I'd say, "David, you idiot." And I became aware that I said that a lot. And somehow, I don't know how it shifted or when it shifted. It's been in the last 2 years sometime, maybe 2.5. But now I find myself just automatically saying, "David, I love you." Mm. And it really is a different world. It's a different life when that is the automatic tape that's going on in my head. And I can't even tell you how it happened specifically. My left brain cannot articulate a series of levers and gears and techniques and paths that brought this to be. But I know it's directly connected to this work I do and to self-empathy and NVC. And, you know, there's some right brain kind of spontaneity there. So I can't tell you how it happened, but it has happened, and I know it's connected to this work. So, I'm a little tender sharing that because I've never told anyone that before. But it's pretty new in my life, and it really makes for a more peaceful existence and helps me not get hysterical when people around me are hysterical about this thing or that thing that's going on in the culture at large. And then one of the consequences of that is I find that people will call me when they're really upset and then thank me for talking them down and reminding them that there's more to the world than whatever it is that they're obsessing about because of the fear that they feel. So, with that as background, I want to do a little meditation and then we'll do a group sharing and see how that goes. So, the meditation is to start, you know, the most common word that is used in the English language, and probably every language, is I. I did this, I did that, I feel this, I need, I want, I can't, I should, I'm going to, I don't, I do. All of this stuff. The word I is ubiquitous because we constantly reference our world to our perspective, the center of being that we occupy, because we look out of the world from our eyes, and our perception is always at the center of what we perceive. And one thing that, I'm just giving a little theory here, I guess, one thing that really affirms the I am and that soothes the nervous system and that brings us present is when we notice what's going on in our bodies. Because our bodies are life's expression that is always in the current moment. Our bodies have no past, they have no future. The past and the future we hold in our imaginations. And what we hold in our imagination certainly can affect our body. But when we connect with our bodies, it reminds us that we're alive and pulls us out of our imagination a little bit and invites us to participate in this miraculous, you know, I was just up in the mountains outside of Estes Park for 4 days near at Rocky Mountain National Park. A friend of mine has a cabin that's a 10-minute walk from the park boundary. And so, you know, the moon was almost full. It was beautiful at night. It was very, very warm. We went for a hike in the national park. And every time I go up there, I just realize how beautiful this planet is. And what a gift it is. And we had this spectacular sunset. The food was nutritious and delicious because we took time to cook because we were just there. I chopped some wood and carried some water. I always like getting back to the basics from time to time, but thank God for electricity and running water, and people have heard me say that before. But it just really reminded me of how sweet life can be and how much our bodies enjoy participating. Even though the water was heavy and I got tired of chopping wood, there was this sense of satisfaction and well-being that just arose out of me taking direct physical actions that contributed to my well-being in that moment in a very tangible way. Because heat's really nice when it's at night. And I love looking at fires. You know, I've been building fires my whole life. And I know there are some people who are never around fire. It's a foreign monster to them or whatever. And I love playing with fires and building different kinds of fires and watching how the flames dance on the wood, depending on how you stack the wood. And do you want a slow burning fire to make the wood last, or do you want something spectacular and the wood burns fast? And, you know, all of that kind of nuanced stuff. And it's just plain fun. It's fun. So I guess I'm celebrating our bodies here. And, you know, the other things that I'm very aware of is our bodies carry life. And especially, you know, for women, that's a bigger thing than for men, I think, because that life comes out of you. And it's such a miraculous thing. It is such a miraculous thing. And a mysterious thing, and I love hanging out in that mystery, you know. And so with that as the preamble, I invite everyone to close your eyes and just check in with your body, you know, from your lungs to your womb, you know, from your fingers to your toes. And as you breathe, just let your body know that you're aware of it, that you're deliberately giving your body attention. And as that breath moves through your body, think of it as a massage or a caress. That your breath is just caressing your inner body, your inner being. It's caressing your toes and your feet. It's caressing, it's enlivening, it's bringing vitality to your fingers and your hands. You know, to your calves and your thighs, your hips, pelvis. All those internal organs, that beating heart. And just notice the physical sensations. Notice what it feels like to be sitting where you're sitting, where your body is touching, being supported by whatever it is that you're sitting on, and gravity is hugging you to the earth. And I invite you to think of a time when loving motivated your action. When you did something for someone just because you love them, or maybe for an animal, could even be, you know, painting a painting, but some action that you took with your body for someone else or something else because you love them. And notice how you experience your body now. What your breath is doing now that you have invoked this memory of loving action. What that caress feels like. What it's like to have love moving through your body. What it's like to bathe in love. And when you did that loving act, that act that was motivated out of love, how did it impact you to do that? How did it impact the person, the thing that you were being loving toward? What was that? What was the impact of that love moving through your body and coming into space-time manifestation? And coming back to your breath, to that caress of your body, to the sensations of the air around you, your weight in your chair or on your bed or wherever, the temperature of the air, the sounds that you hear, the fact that you're alive right now in this moment. That life is moving through you in this moment with every heartbeat, with every breath. Now I invite you to think of a time when somebody did something for you because they loved you. Not because they would get a reward or because it was the proper thing to do, but a time that someone did something for you just because they loved you, just because you're you. And think about what they did. And what it was like to be the recipient of an act of love that was given for no other reason but love. And notice how that lives in you right now as you bring it to mind. Being with your breathing. And how do you think that loving act benefited them? What was the impact on them to be able to express love to you? Would you guess? And what was the impact on you? What was the impact of that loving expression that was inspired by your presence? And just breathing, relaxing, being in your body, living in your body in this moment. Noticing what it's like to have love moving through your body in this moment. You exist. You're on this planet. You interact with other people. Your presence has impact. It's a gift. And just take a few more breaths. Check in with your body. See if there's any part of your body that wants attention. And just acknowledge that part of your body if it comes up. And what would it be like if your presence so inspired you that you did a loving act on your own behalf, just for you, because you are? What if you treated yourself with love, simply because you exist? And I invite you to feel each breath as the caress of love, as love moving through your body, love sinking into every pore, every cell, love dancing in every beat of the heart, in every breath, in every thought, in every feeling, in every nerve fiber. What if at the core of it there was love? And I'm going to go into silence for about a minute, and then I'll start to bring us back out of the meditation. So just to let everything that we've done in the last few minutes just kind of settle. And I invite you to listen to the silence and just notice what goes on. And becoming aware of the temperature of the air, the sensations on your skin, the beating of your heart, the breathing of your lungs, the sounds that you hear, the pressure of your body against the earth. And just relaxing, breathing, and in a minute it'll be time to open our eyes. And when you open your eyes, I invite you to look out at the world as if you had never seen it before. As if this moment was freshly minted, brand new, unprecedented. So getting ready to open your eyes. 3, 2, getting ready. 3, 2, take a deep breath. 1. And open your eyes. And just notice what it's like to look out on the world in this moment. That was fun. I enjoyed that. So I thought what we'd do next, and there's no hurry on this, but to bring it from the interior to the exterior and make it whole, is each take turns sharing what this experience was like, whatever's alive in you, whatever you care to share about the experience. And then we'll take some time for everyone else to reflect back what they hear so that you get your presence affirmed. So whoever, whenever someone wants to go first, and no rush, because I find that silence is pretty compelling and sometimes it's hard to come out of it.
Mm-hmm. So I'll be glad to start. It started with this experience of me loving something or someone, and it took me to this experience today with my dog, Lola, and because there were loud voices from the other person and from me. Once we got to the house, she was shaking, and I asked her to go outside. And I needed some space from her. Then at some point, came back to her on her outside deck, and my body found it. I had a coming down to her where she was laying on the ground. And so in that experience, in the meditation, it was me sinking meeting her love where she was. Yeah. And felt that in my body going down. I feel it now. And the second part of the meditation, having a hard time. The second part of that meditation was harder for me of me receiving love, and my mind began to ruminate about it, like, okay, when did someone love me? So David, really what it came to was your email about this class, and then a response to my blog, and so assured in my body of that meeting, of that of those two energies, of yours coming toward me and me accepting it. So assured, so no questions. I could feel that in me. Metness of just landing, I guess is the word. And then the third experience was of me meeting me in love, loving presence.
Mm-hmm.
And that was even harder. Just a number of things going on in my world in the last year and a half where, so it was, that was harder. Knowing too, it was in there, but the landing, it was like trying to find it, going around it. So I don't know that I met that. And all three were different experiences, and noticing me in all those experiences, and there was a somatic experience to that, and also a energetic, which was mind and body. Yeah, maybe that's what I want to say. That make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would one of Allie or Genevieve, would you be willing to reflect back the essence or some of the points of what Carlene said that resonated with you? What it was that you heard?
I would. Carlene, I loved how what I heard you saying was in that first going to meet Lola,
Well,
and not not just kind of where she was at in the shaking or anything, but physically like coming down to meet her. And you even did this with your hands too, and you're talking about with David, like going to where you knew you would be able to be met and to receive. And then thirdly, I saw you doing this, like kind of looking for the meeting of yourself. So I loved in all three of those, you had the somatic awareness and that it was that feeling of meeting, of being met. It all coming together.
yeah, thank you. I feel that.
Would you like to add anything, Genevieve?
Yeah, I had the difficulty of receiving love or finding love for yourself. Yeah, I resonated with that a whole lot. And yeah, I was also aware of what your hands were doing and that part about finding yourself. I don't know. I really enjoyed that metaphor of how difficult it is to receive love, to find ourselves when in that creative, loving moment, and the vulnerability of saying it, and if it allows me to recognize my own experience as my own, and the resonance with yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah. So the essence that I got, Carlene, was a seeker who was really aware that she could be loving towards another. And then kind of a curiosity about how can I be loving towards another, and then when the love is coming towards me, why is it more difficult? And and then talking about doing a loving act on your own behalf. I love the way you drew out the three parts. The struggle that was going on with that, like maybe there, in some part of you didn't have buy-in that it was okay to do that, and some part of you knew that that was like, what you aspire to, or I don't know, those are just guesses, but I just really felt like there's this back and forth going on in your consciousness about, wow, is it okay to do that? Can I do that? I wonder why I can't do that. Why is it hard to do that? And not really any answers, but just the pondering. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's the back and forth and the pondering for sure.
Yeah. And also it was very sweet to hear the very uncensored living expression of what was going on inside of you. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Anything you want to say before we ask someone else to share their?
No,
To the next person.
feel complete, heard,
Okay.
sensed.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Is it okay if I go, Ali? I was finding it tough to not have my monkey brain take a lot of space, which was a sweet reminder that I haven't meditated regularly for quite a while, and that muscle is getting weaker.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to exercise it more. In some sense was similar to what Colin said, because finding something I did with love for someone that was plenty, and it was easy, and having two of my sons at home, it's kind of a all day going on, and I like it, and I do it with, I know what I'm doing. And then when you asked us to look into someone, then I got all teary. And it's not a surprise. I know receiving love is not easy for me. And I guess a part of me was a little, oh darn, here we go again. I don't know, what would I lose if I opened up to love, really, fully? And loving myself was easier than it has been, as I was kind of saying in my check-in. I'm in kind of a place of peace with myself and feeling quite mindful and choiceful of the choice I make. And so that was reassuring, of something reminding me what you said at first, like instead of, oh, you silly or whatever, just, yeah, here I am. I'm not to the I love you, but I am at here I am. Yeah, I think that's all for now.
All right. Who would like to reflect back the essence of what Genevieve said?
So I'll attempt a little bit of that, Genevieve. So you, like me, in that first part of giving was easier. Two sons there, and that the giving just comes, you know, from that source of love. Then recognizing that the receiving is a little less, a little not as easy to take in. And I think I heard you, it was a question that I really enjoyed hearing. What would that be like to fully receive? What would that be like to fully receive someone's love? It's a magical question to me as I heard you. And then this third part, you're in exploration, you feel easier in coming to yourself and loving yourself, yet there's still, you're not able to say I love you, but I'm here. There's a presence there. Okay, I'm here. Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Love that question. What would that be like?
Allie?
Yeah, I was really hearing your deep awareness through each of the phases, and acceptance that I am here, even with the meditation piece. Oh, there's monkey mind, awareness of it, and then acceptance. Okay, meditation, muscle. And also just even in looking at like what, your two sons are there. So there's lots of opportunities to be giving, to be offering love. Okay, I'm here with that. Like, so yeah, just really appreciating the steadfastness of being here, and what love can only come in from that deep presence, right? That immediate moment. That was part of what I loved about this experience that David led us through, was deep in presence and then letting the love spill forth. So I was just really hearing that even in your, what would it be like to really open to love? Like your presence, the foundation is all there. Exploring, ready. Yeah. So.
Well, one thing that really came alive for me, Genevieve, when you were talking, is I love your monkey mind, because I know it's working really hard to keep you safe, and it's absolutely devoted to your well-being. And our monkey minds process so much stuff because they're looking for that sweet spot where we'll be okay, where we'll be fulfilled, where we'll be accepted. And so that really came up for me when you were talking about your monkey mind. The other thing that really resonates with me in what you said was a real openness. I'm here. It was easy, the first part. The second part, what would it be like? What if I got to lose, is what you said. So I interpret that as, what am I holding on to? And then the third part of, I'm here. And so to me, it really embodied that observational quality of NVC, of just being aware of you and what's going on. And I can't help but juxtapose that with the determination I've seen in you to pursue this work and find a meaningful way to spend this life. So those are the things that came up that I heard in your reflection. So, have you more to say before we give Ali a shot?
No, I don't. Thank you very much. It is, I guess this, having the three of you reflect what I just shared was, I don't know, kind of pushing a little bit that, what would I lose, or what would it be like if I let it in? Yeah. Just making that link within myself. It's almost embarrassing. That's too much, Right. Whoa.
Right.
So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ali.
So, in the first part of giving love, loving act towards another, I probably went through 3 or 4 acts, but with each one, I had the judgment then of, that's not really enough. And it took me till the end, and listening to you each share, and us all reflect, for me to realize that was happening, that I was like measuring while in the meditation. And each one of them was like, that's not big enough. And I realized that part of the measurement I was looking for was like how far out of myself I was in order to create that loving, giving act. which is a thing I've been working on for a really long time of like, can I be with myself and be in loving acts for another? So it's not so much of a this or that it could be an and experience. And then the second one, receiving. And I just want to comment that each of those supposed little acts of giving, David, I forget the verbiage you used exactly, was something about how did it affect you and how did it feel in your body. And with each one, I could feel like this ripple effect go out that then often was a connection with the person I was directly in giving with, but even others around us. So that was really enjoyable to feel that, to feel like the lake and the pebble all at once. And then the receiving was really enjoyable. I've been focused on receiving more in a more gracious way and actually stopping and taking it in. And they were little things. Again, little acts. There's that judgment of like, how big is it? How small is it? And then the third one around giving to myself is something I've really been focused on in the last month. So I had quite a few immediately accessible, and it just felt good to reflect on them instead of continuing to plow through like more. Even though I've done some, I still need to do more, and that there's going to be some cumulative effect. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Who wants to reflect? Thank you.
I could go. I'm really enjoying that. What I'm perceiving as a very refined capacity of your own self-awareness, and I'm hearing a lot of tenderness around those feelings to judge those big acts or little acts, or is it good enough? I guess those are my words, I guess, but like that scale somehow you have created for yourself, and there seem to be a lot of acquaintances about it. And I'm celebrating that that it was easily accessible to find ways where you can hold yourself and choose to love yourself in whatever ways and expression. I don't know, I felt a lot of peace watching you describe your experience, even with that little game of scale. You not take that too seriously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I will also contribute to reflecting and picking up some pieces of being heard, that there's a measurement that you hold. I was hearing you say, is that enough? As you think about the giving, and it almost had a feel of a scale, like, you know, the one side being heavier than the other, as I heard you. And that question, can I be in myself and give a loving act? There's an inquiry there in you that I heard you're living into in that first expression of giving. And I was really glad that you talked about the impact, like the beating the lake and the pebble, and sensing into that inquiry for yourself too. The whole three parts, there was an inquiry, and the last part especially, of how you said, I've really been paying attention to that, loving myself. So in all of that, there was this expression of being alive in me as I heard you, like that's an aliveness that you're holding, of living in inquiry. That's what I received from that. I don't know. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
It was helpful for me.
All right. I certainly resonated with your talking about the ripple and your awareness of the connectedness. You know, and I know that, you know, in the past you've talked about doing psychic stuff and kind of tapping into that more global morphic oneness. And so I just really heard that awareness, that training in that comment about the feeling the connections going out. The other thing that really struck me was just like this hunger, almost an insatiable appetite to contribute. And underneath that, what I heard was joy. It's like life can be so wonderful, and there's so much magic and mystery, and am I doing enough to bring that out? Am I contributing to other people enough that they feel welcome and whole? And so I really, that appetite, that quest, or that appetite that for contribution, I really saw it as a desire for wholeness. You know, in others and in self. And kind of like a signpost, you know, I've been working this stuff for a long time. How am I doing? You know, am I more at it? Am I more effective at it than I was 6 years ago? You know, has this work that I've been putting in really been paying off? That's sort of what I heard in the judgment also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm complete. Your turn. Anything you want to add or say?
Yeah, I'm just grateful for each of your reflections, and I noticed it's like I want to just trust the, you know, the flow, the giving, the contribution, and trust that those ripples are there. But it almost feels like trying to be too spiritual, you know, to not look. And to say, like, it's okay to look, you know, again, and see, like, what, you know, what's really happening here? How is this being received? And to look more from that space instead of like trying to get down into the granular of like, well, how far did the ripple go? Like, how many times did the rock skip? You know, just like I have been using some ineffective metrics. So yeah, to hear it summed up in that bigger picture and bigger scheme of contribution, of inquiry, you know, of awareness, it's really helpful. Thank you all.
All right, so I will share a little bit what it was like for me, even though I was the one giving it, because I want the reflection back. That affirmation that I am. So most of the time, when I start off on a meditation, I have no idea where it's going to go. And that was the case this time too. other than I knew when I've given it a bunch of thought over the last 3 days about what I wanted to do tonight, but not in terms of technique and lesson plan, more in terms of the spirit, the intention of this evening. And it was when I was painting about 3 hours ago. You know, I thought about empowerment and feeling powerful, and I thought about just affirming self-worth and seeing value, and I ended up this afternoon just kind of hitting on an experience of love. And as I went through the meditation and it kind of unfolded in front of me, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed talking about love and inviting people to feel love. And it felt like it moved through me as I was talking. Not like it was something I did and figured out, but it was just like I was there and I was experiencing the words as I was delivering them to you. And also, you know, I had my eyes closed. The other thing that I rather enjoyed was with just the four of us, I didn't have to use the stopwatch and say, okay, Allie, break us into groups. We're going to give the 1 minute warning for people to come back. So I really enjoyed the fact that we didn't have to do breakout groups. And it just really felt good to be saying what I said. And I also noticed my voice became very soft and I was feeling soothed as I was talking. And I think I'm complete. I'm complete. I'm not quite complete. Okay, I had one more agenda item when I talked about perception. You know, at the beginning, it's like doing a meditation like this, inviting people to ponder this, for me is a way of embedding or giving people an experience of a way of perceiving that hopefully they can anchor to and come back to if they find it empowering. So that we are not so much at the mercy of the stimulus response universe. So that's an agenda that's almost always going on in everything I do. So now I'm complete.
I love hearing about the back end, you know, of things, like how it happens, how it all lines up. And so I love hearing, David, about your intentionality over days with, you know, not like you're saying, not the granular, not the over planning, the intention, and then the awareness of it dropping in even more strongly 3 hours before while painting, and then dropping in, you know, in it even more strongly, your voice changing, you receiving it as you were giving it, the wholeness, the contribution, the receiving, just all kind of merging into one. And yeah, I can taste it. I think that's what I was saying I'm looking for too, is like, where can there be the giving and the receiving at once instead of, you know, one way or the other. And yeah, and then wrapping to the end of that, this is an intention that you hold in everything that you do and that you help to facilitate, and feeling that as a participant, really feeling that intention throughout it. It's very much the lavender bath nervous system experience. So thank you.
Today I marvel this is more not so much reflection as expression. I marveled at the bubbling up, what comes in you with this meditation tonight. Wasn't planned. It just started flowing, and you never know where it's going to go, and yet there were 3 very distinct pieces to it. I think of your mind as a fascinating place. Fascinating. Almost have a picture of me just sitting in there and just looking at it, going, "Oh my God!" So that was like the back end of that. That was, Alex said, that was marveling at that. Now too, you talk about the softness of your voice and how so there was this presence that came into you, and you were in the flow of the giving and the receiving. It was all that one. And your intention. Your intention is well spoken there for me.
Thank you.
I marvel at it. No, you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two things that come up for me is that how much you embody that sense of trusting in self. Like you're, like you said, like starting the meditation, not quite sure, and it's not written down, it's not trusting your soul, your heart, and to be exactly what it needs to be, and capacity of the 4 of us to stay together also. Not having to do technology so you can really be with us into it. And and even how it came, like the back end, like Ali was saying, because I don't know, it gives me some reassurance, because I do that quite a lot. Like I sit with things and I just do other things, and then all of a sudden, boom, it lands. And there's some, so watching you do that and having watched you do a lot of other things and seeing how powerful it is, it gives me faith in, maybe I can trust that a little more, which I have, and yet I go through the grind, and so really receiving plenty of that you want to offer, and I'm believing that you're receiving that much as it's happening, as we were talking about the giving and receiving in the moment, the same divine sparkle. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
It does, and what really, and Ali started it, what I wasn't really quite aware of, that hearing you guys reflect back has really put my focus on, is that giving and receiving in the same act. And it's absolutely accurate, and I never really thought about it that way before, but it really, that's where a lot of the sweetness comes from when I do it, when I enjoy it. Yeah, so since everyone on here is a facilitator, what in the Art of War, in the 2nd chapter, the 1st chapter is called the Sheathed Sword, and it says that the absolute supreme general is an unsung hero because no one will ever hear of them, because they always defeat the enemy, or arrange things so there never has to be a battle. The second chapter says that the successful general is up all night before the great battle, running over the plans and studying the battlefield, and then the day of the battle is willing to throw all of that away and just move with what opportunities arrive, whereas the unsuccessful general doesn't even think of the battle at all the day before. And so I have studied a lot, and I have a pretty deep toolkit. I have been exposed to a lot of different technique approaches, not just NVC, but in a lot of different realms. And one of the things I've done as I pursue a teaching is I suspend all doubt, and I just totally immerse myself in it as if it was absolutely true. Because I trust that when I come out the other side, stuff that doesn't fit, stuff that doesn't apply will just fall away, and I'll retain whatever essence is appropriate for me and whatever the experience is. And I think that allows me to really gain insight into where different systems, approaches, philosophies, teaching techniques are coming from. And then the third thing, so that's how I build up my toolkit. And a lot of it's just practice and a lot of reading. I don't do so much reading anymore now because stuff is the same, only different. You know, it says the same thing, only in different words. That's how I experience a lot of stuff now. The third thing I do, and this is the secret, is, and it comes out of my Tai Chi, is I align my spine so head and earth are connected. And I go into silence, and I listen deeply to the silence. And then when the silence is broken, whatever emerges, I just trust it and give it voice. And that's how that's how I'm spontaneous and effective at the same time. Right there is listening to silence. And it's, I like, and maybe many, I don't know if any of you have been in classes where I talk about the foundation of empathy, of communication begins in silence, so that we are open and receptive to what is. But anyhow, those are my trade secrets. And the listening to the silence and just acting took me a long time to trust, because my mind is there. Oh, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? What if you blow it? Oh my God, I don't, And so I would try it in small ways initially and be pretty timid about it. Oh, that worked out okay. And then I got to the point where I really totally trust it. But that just didn't happen overnight, and it's not an intellectual thought that says you should trust it or you do trust it. It's a spirit that dwells in my being that I can't really describe in words. So anyhow, those are my trade secrets right there. So I'm feeling pretty complete. I think we could since it's a shorter call, I think we could drop off earlier. I have a poem in mind for the ending. So I thought maybe just see what else, anything else anyone wants to share, and then I'll go into poetry.
Well, I'll say that this experience, I started to say topic, but this experience of love has been spot on for where I am in life right today. Like a lot of things have been coming, and all of a sudden here today. And the image of a bath, a lavender bath, and the source of love, those are things I'm really taking away from it that I'm very grateful for. David, thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo that perfection of a larger theme in my life right now too. So, again, David, just your ability to listen to and trust in the silence. It's such depth and presence of each person who's participating. And I just can really feel your, it doesn't, I know you talk about, you know, building the trust and the skills and the toolkits, but to me it feels more like an innate part of who you are as well, that you can be in both the void and the form and really dance with them both, you know, in a meditation, in an hour-and-a-half call, in a conversation, in a mediation, all of it. And I'm just really grateful for that and for you.
Well, thank you. And I think that's well taken, because I love form. I just don't attach to it.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's really fun to play with. In fact, this is the latest form that I've been working with.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So
Very cool.
Wow. Oh. I feel, yeah, very much that it was needed, time to pause and sit down and in company. I feel safe and more than safe. Relaxed. Very relaxed. The bath worked. I am very relaxed.
right.
There's couple of things you said that I'm like, I want to remember. And of course, I don't. Oh, well.
I'll send out a recording. You can listen again if you want.
Cool. Yeah, it was in the part where you were talking about your trade secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I'm more tired than I thought I was.
Yeah, I'm glad those trade secrets are recorded, Dave.
Now can we blackmail you?
Oh, man, you could seduce me.
That works.
Yeah, and I feel very, very grateful and honored to be part of this time together.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so I just really am touched. Have really enjoyed this evening, and I'm glad I decided to do it, 2 weeks ago out of the blue. I have a rapport, I have a living relationship with each of the three of you, so it's just really sweet to see you on my computer screen and to hear your voices. So this poem I'd like to dedicate to us tonight who are on this call. And Carlene, my choice of this poem was really inspired by the blog that you wrote, the recent one where you talked about Sarah's workshop and stuff. And you may have heard it before, and just to make it a little sweeter, this is a poem. When I first wrote it, I thought, that's not bad. And it sat on the shelf for 10 years. And it was just kind of like one of my poems. And then I looked at it again after I'd been studying NVC, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And now it's one I recite pretty often. So I didn't realize at the time that I wrote it how in love with it I would become. So here we are. I, by your tender gaze, am held, until deep within your eyes I dwell. Ponder well such heart-held capacity that your essence pure could so joy capture and enrapture me, a gift of freely given authenticity, that I may partake of your life, of your light, and your love, and thus be renewed and imbued with the courage that your honesty lavishes upon me. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.